Hi, I'm Scott Tomlinson with Clinical Trials Ontario, and this video tutorial is intended to guide REB staff or REB operations personnel in completing the tasks they'll be required to do in CTO Stream with their Research Ethics Board. The tutorial will include an overview of the workflow for the ethics submissions. We'll go over how the tile system works of the work area, how to navigate the submission timeline page and review a submission, the pre-screening step that occurs prior to the actual REB review, assigning an application to a full board meeting. We'll cover the delegated review process and recording the actual decision for a submission, whether that's to approve, acknowledge, or send the application back to the study team for changes. We'll look at how to archive and categorize the documents as part of the workflow. We'll look at setting the expiry date for a provincial initial application or provincial continuing review. And finally, we'll take a look at how to draft and send the REB letter for the submission. The following diagram is a visual representation of the workflow that CTO Stream submissions follow after they've been submitted. Provincial initial and center initial applications undergo a brief pre-screen by CTO, which is not shown in this diagram. CTO screens new provincial and center initial submissions before they become available to the REB of record to ensure that the study meets our mandate and that the mandatory CTO consent form template has been used. Once CTO has ensured that these requirements have been met, the submission is released to the REB. CTO does not pre-screen post-approval submissions. The submissions will go down different pathways of the workflow depending on the type of application that's being reviewed, the level of review that was selected for the application, and the REB's decision for the submission, whether that's to approve, acknowledge, or send it back for changes. The submissions move through the workflow from one status to another until they're either approved, acknowledged, or sent back to the applicants for changes. In this diagram, the different statuses of the workflow are represented by the various names which do not have any icon associated with them. The icons in the diagram represent the various action menu buttons that appear in the action menu throughout the review process. Some of the actions are used to move a submission from one status to another, such as application complete, while other actions are used to perform administrative actions, such as assigning a reviewer, which is not shown in this diagram. The color of the arrow coming out of each action tells you whether it advances the submission forward through the workflow, such as the green arrows, or if it sends the application back to the study team for changes, which is represented by the red arrows. If you ever get lost when you're reviewing a submission, you can always check the status of the submission and refer back to the diagram to orient yourself of where you are in the workflow and what steps should come next. If you ever need to go back a step in the workflow, you can reach out to CTO to provide you with an undo button to go back to any status that you were at previously. When you log into your CTO Stream account, you're directed to a page called the Work Area. This page acts like a dashboard from where you can view your in-system notifications and, most importantly, access the applications that have been submitted to your REB. The gray boxes with numbers inside make up the tile system. They're arranged into different rows, and the number on the front of each tile represents the number of items inside. The 4 tiles at the top of the page do not actually contain any REB submissions. Instead, this is where you can view your in-system notifications by going to the Notifications tile. You can view the list of upcoming and past full board meetings that have been created for your REB in the system by going to the Meetings tile. You can store contact details of individuals in your own contact repository in the Contacts tile. And you can also generate reports that have been created for your REB by going to the Reports tile. The My Tasks tiles contain applications that you've either been assigned to as a reviewer or that you've been assigned to as an REB staff in the case of the My Studies tile. The administrative tiles are named according to the workflow status that the submissions inside are currently at. As an application progresses through the REB workflow, it moves from one administrative tile to the other. The delegated tiles contain applications that are currently undergoing delegated review. That means the status of these submissions are currently delegated review. And they're still pending the REB decision whether to approve, acknowledge, or send the application back to the applicants for changes. The full board review tiles contain applications that are either waiting to be assigned to an REB meeting, or that have already been assigned to an REB meeting, or that have already undergone a full board review and they're just waiting to have the decision, the REB's decision, input on the application in the system. The summary tiles allow you to see all applications that have been submitted or have been sent back to the study team, which is the case for the changes requested tile. The submissions inside the tile will appear within a table, and there's important information displayed about each one, such as the application type, the CTO Stream project ID number, and the short study title or the study nickname. To open the submission, click anywhere in the row that contains the submission you want to open. The first page you see when you open a submission is called the submission timeline page. It acts like a cover page and contains identifying information about the form, such as the project ID number, the study title, and the application type. The action menu on the left-hand side of the page contains various action buttons, which you may recognize from the workflow diagram we looked at earlier. The buttons that are here will change depending on the status of the application that's being reviewed. Scrolling down the page, you'll see 5 different tabs. The one on the far left is called the Timeline tab and is automatically selected by default when you open a submission. This tab shows all of the REB actions that reviewers or CTO administrators have performed on the submission up to the current point in time. If you click anywhere in the row of an action, it will show you the event information for that action, which includes the user who performed it and any timeline notes they may have left when they performed that action. An asterisk will be displayed after the name of any action that has an associated timeline note. There is also a visual representation of the actions that have been performed on the submission across time above the list of actions, and you can click on any of the actions in this diagram to view the event information for the action. Any action containing the email icon means that that action has an email notification that was sent when the action was performed. Actions that have a paperclip icon means that they have an associated letter. For example, the CTO accepts submission action has a letter that is sent to the research team when the action is performed. You can view the letter or the email that was sent for any action by clicking on the paperclip icon or the email icon in the row of that action. One tab to the right of the Timeline tab is the Project tab, which shows you all of the applications that have been submitted for the application so far. As you can see, so far the only application that has been submitted for this project is the Provincial Initial or CHEER Initial application. If there were multiple applications that had been submitted for the project so far, I would be able to select any of those other applications to open them right from this project tree. The next tab is the Documents tab, which contains the form documents or the documents that were uploaded to the application by the study team. You can download any of the documents that you see here individually in their native format by clicking the download button in the row of that document. You can also view all of the documents that you have selected the checkbox for in a new tab of your browser in PDF format without downloading the document to your computer by using the View Selected button. Lastly, you can use the Download Selected button to download any of the documents that the checkbox has been selected for as a zipped file, and then you can open the document in its native format from inside that zipped folder. There is one document called Submission that is not actually a document that was uploaded by the study team. Instead, it's actually a PDF of the submission itself. Below that, there may be review documents that were uploaded by the REB, but these are optional. For example, this could be a reviewer checklist or a note to file, and these can be downloaded by using the download button in the row of that action. And reviewers can upload a new document, a review document, by clicking the New Document button. The next tab over is the Data tab, which will not contain anything unless you're reviewing a post-approval submission. The Contacts tab identifies anyone who was listed in Section 1 of the application. So here you can see we have 4 study contacts who were listed in the first section of this provincial initial application. This will show blank if you're reviewing a post-approval application other than an amendment, since contacts are not listed in those applications. The Review Contacts section will always show blank. I don't believe any of our REBs use this feature. It has limited use for reviewers in CTO Stream. The last tab is the Correspondence tab, which shows all of the correspondence messages that were sent back and forth between the study team and the REB of record. For instructions on how to use correspondence, you can watch the correspondence messages video that we have on our website. The first step the REB staff must complete for any CTO Stream submission is to determine whether the application is complete or if it's missing any documents or key information. If the application is missing key information or documents, the REB can use the application incomplete action to send it back to the study team for changes. This action includes an REB letter, which the REB can edit directly in the pop-up window within the text editor. Once the letter is ready to send, click the green Application Incomplete action at the bottom of the pop-up window to complete the action and send the letter to the study team. If the application is marked as complete using the Application Complete button, the submission will advance to the next step of the workflow and the status will change to Review Type Determination.